word why. What a curious word. The kind of word that can make us cringe, feel defensive, or even distant. But you know, sometimes why is the key that can unlock so much to our lives. Join me as we explore the why with fascinating contributors to the world, those that entertain us, inform us, teach us about life, and if we're lucky, inspire the next in all of us. I'm your host, Dr. Rod Berger, and welcome to Headroom, a production of Rainlight and co-produced by Old Soul. Let's go.
Well, I don't know for this interview if I could have better background music or ambiance, Jonas, than having police officers on horseback walking through, obviously, a historic city here in Oslo. And I don't know if people can hear it, but there's a fountain behind us. The sun is actually peered out, which is a bit of a rarity sometimes when in Norway.
Yeah.
Absolutely beautiful. I know that... here's where I want to start, Jonas. A lot of people want me to talk to you about Easee and what happened to the company. Almost as if it's we would call it like an after-action report or even a police report, right? Of what happened to the company. And we'll get to some of that. But I want to sort of start with where you are right now, how you're feeling. This was February of 23. Right? That's when you officially left the company?
No, that's actually when the crisis started.
Okay, that's when it started.
That's at least when it became public.
Okay, so there was an inner crisis. There was a behind-the-scenes crisis.
Yeah, before the public one, and also my son was born in February.
At the same time.
Yeah.
At the same time. Okay, so then when was the last day you being CEO?
The last day was officially October last year.
Okay, so we are just rubbing up right against the year mark.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
Yeah, it's a pretty interesting. If the audience could see Jonas's just reaction physically to that. You know, it's interesting. We were saying off air, we were talking about what I would deem as trauma, when it can be entrepreneurs, it could be family life, it could be any number of things. But the amount of time it takes to almost process, it's almost like you're digesting food, right? Or you're going into labor, or it's pregnant. There's some like long, protracted period of time.
Yeah.
Where are you in feeling comfortable with yourself a year from leaving the company that you started that really made you, I guess you sort of transitioned from famous to infamous, and not of your own doing, right? But from a public perspective.
Yeah. It's so physically, I'm getting there. So still feeling the consequences in my body. It's easier to breathe now. So last year at this time, it was like breathing through a straw, and it felt like my head had been put in a microwave oven. And now my head is starting to at least feel like it's not foggy anymore, constantly foggy. But I still can feel some weirdness. So I need to be really careful about stress.
Has it moved from the breath? I think that's a very visual to think about, you sort of like sucking air through a straw just to survive.
Yeah.
So you're breathing easier, but where if you had to say where you feel it now, where do you feel it a year later?
So last year it was kind of
like your head's not in a microwave now.
No. No, it was like an 8 or a 9, and now it's maybe down to a 4 and 5.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm getting there, and I feel like mentally I've never felt better.
Never felt better.
So I never felt happier. Maybe it sounds strange, but I'm so happy now and grateful that I've been through this shit. So because I've learned so much, and it actually forced me to go into some stuff that I needed to deal with, some traumas and some really unhealthy patterns. because I think that as a human, as an entrepreneur, you can kind of fall in love with work, and it can become addictive, and it's not healthy. You can also fall in love with alcohol and so on, and I've maybe done both. So for me, sitting here, I haven't touched alcohol in 6 months, and I feel that I have a more healthy relationship with work. That I kind of like when I saw people going for vacation and so on. I was like, why do they do that? I didn't understand it, but now it's like I'm looking forward to a trip to Tenerife that we will have in a couple of weeks, and I was like, I'm really looking forward to it, bringing my family, and we will enjoy ourselves, and I will try to be off.
You know, you touch on something, Jonas. I think that there's a, tell me if you think that I'm if I'm onto something here, or that in the US we'll talk about sort of there's a romantic notion to being an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
There's the idea phase. Then there's the, oh my God, I might be able to do this, right? There's the coercion, getting people to work with you and to believe in the dream that you have. And all along the way, it becomes a little bit like your own baby. And you don't ever want to see maybe where that baby maybe is not as cute as you thought, or doesn't sleep through the nights. So there's this romantic notion that I think can stunt sort of progress just as humans. You get stuck sort of in this vacuum where if you don't come out with this really positive tone about your company, there are real implications.
Oh.
Do you feel that did you have to fall out of love with Easee to fall back in love with yourself?
Wow. No. Maybe I did. Yeah, maybe I did actually. You're actually putting words to something that I it's been really painful, and it's felt kind of weird. I've been feeling like I've been kind of like giving up or letting people down. But now I feel that this couldn't have been better. And because I was too attached to the company, I was like, this is me. This is. So if the company was doing good, then I was doing fairly good. But when it was doing bad, there was a lot of problems, right, with the growth. So then I was constantly feeling bad or stressed, so it was like, I am Easee and Easee is me, and that's I never wanted to end up like that ever again, because it's not healthy.
And that's not something they teach in business school, or that's not something that we're taught. Because as you're saying that, I know exactly. All the entrepreneurs I've interviewed, all these innovators, there is almost like a crossing over, like a transition. Not to say bring like spirituality or something, but it's the mood that you have on a day-to-day basis. It's like the stock market is based on where your company or your baby is at that time.
Yeah. And I think that when you're at that stage, it's not good for you, it's not good for the company, because you become a lot less rational in a way, because you let your emotions carry you away, and I think it's not like people think that this world should be logic, everything should be logic. That's, for me, it's bullshit. It will never happen.
How nice would that be? But it wouldn't, right? I mean, we'd miss the opportunity to experience the full spectrum of emotions.
Oh, exactly. And it's like, it's never black or white. There is always a different perspective, and this is what you should seek. You should always seek new perspectives, and you should always question yourself. Not doubt yourself, but question yourself and the things that you're doing. Why are you doing it? And if you get a certain amount of resistance, maybe you should question if what you're doing is the right thing. Maybe it is, but you need to be aware of these things. And this is where I kind of, I don't know, I shouldn't say that I lacked humbleness, but I was a little bit too stubborn, I will say. I think now I'm a little bit more open.
Okay.
And I'm not that afraid of asking for help.
I hope you're enjoying this very special episode of Headroom, as Jonas and I sit on a park bench with a fountain just behind us. People walking, horses going by, an incredible conversation of transparency and, I hope, impact. We want to thank the Oslo Business Region and Oslo Innovation Week for putting this together. We also want to thank our friends at Old Soul and Matt Milstein for helping to produce this episode. And now, back to our guest.
So help educate your American friend here on the culture of men in Norway. So as you say that, I experience that as an American male, in that you have to fight through, you have to battle it out, like that is a part of your DNA. And you called it sort of stubbornness, but we are basically indoctrinated in that in the movies, in TV, and what we see, the way in which the toys that we get to play with that are bigger and stronger, right? Everything is sort of telling you that masculinity means you're the last one standing.
And that you're alone. And that, I think, in Norway, independence is really important. But still we have something called dugnad, which everyone kind of contributes. If you're gonna clean up the street, for example, it's a dugnad. And then everybody kind of
Dugnad, okay.
Yeah. So
you will come together.
Yeah, but it's, of course, times are changing, and maybe we are, as humans, we are moving more and more away from kind of the tribes and the community, and we think that we have to be alone, and I don't think that's healthy. I think especially for us guys, asking for help, being open, vulnerable, it doesn't show weakness; it shows strength. And this is, for me, just a superpower in itself. I just now, when we are gathering investors for the new company that we have started, I'm much more open. I really want to bring investors on board that I have a really good relationship with, and that wants to play, and that can help us to build a solid company, a robust company. Not just bring them in for the sake of cash.
So not just a transaction.
No. And that's really important. And I know that they can feel it. They can feel that we are a team. We are in this together. And that's a much better place to be, rather than having some investors that you need to please. And they have invested money in you, so you need to make it grow. And if you stumble, like we did last year, then that's on you, and you need to fix it.
So we started off this conversation, and you talked about feeling like you were breathing through a straw.
Yeah.
You were sucking air through a straw. If we can connect this and sort of bring that full circle to investors in this, wanting a relationship, wanting people that will play, to use your words. Tell me about the experience when Easee was flying high and you were the talk of the town. Tell me about what it was like to walk around Oslo and the feeling that people were seeing success when they saw you physically walk into a room, and the arc of that when it didn't go so well. And has that been part of your sort of transition over the last year to, and now maybe I'm putting words in your mouth, where you worried that people might know who you were and might already have an opinion without even knowing you?
Yeah, it's a really good question. It's so when Easee was at the top, and I was kind of on the list of the richest in Norway.
No, you were
suddenly.
on the billionaire list. Yeah.
And that was, for me, I never asked for that. That's not why I do what I do. So for me, it was really uncomfortable, because I at that time I was kind of scared of this money focus. I didn't want it to kind of. I didn't want people to think that that's who I am. So when I was walking the streets, and when I was in scenarios where I was kind of seen almost as a god, that was really uncomfortable. I really hated it, and I didn't feel that I could be myself in those kind of settings. And so it actually, it sounds stupid maybe, but actually when the shit hits the fan, that's kind of where I felt that now I can prove to people that I don't do this for the money, and I will get this company out of this shithole, and I will do whatever it takes to do it. But I don't know.
So do you walk into rooms, or have you over the last year walked into rooms where that was the first thing on your mind, that you almost had to worry that people had already written your story without even meeting you?
Yeah, and a lot of people have actually.
They have.
And this is when they sit down and they talk to me, I see their perspective change. I see their whole idea of me change, because they have gotten kind of one figure or one perception out of the newspapers, and I think that, and actually they think that they know who I am by just reading the newspapers. But when I sit down with them, it's like I think their respect is have increased drastically. So and that's kind of, for me, as we talked about, like being misunderstood is really scary. That's for me. That's something that I've really put a lot of pressure on me. And when I felt that I've been losing control over the story and the perspectives that's being told, that's been a nightmare. I've been constantly worried.
So I know that you had talked publicly that there was a moment in Easee's build where you had to have a conversation that I think so many sons can relate to, even if it didn't have to do with money, with their father, who potentially didn't think that they were on the right path, or there was a conflicted, complex relationship, where you had to reach out to your dad and ask for, I think it was like 500,000 crowns or something, right? And you were surprised that he, just after a little sort of back and forth, said yes.
Yeah.
And when you made that comment about not being understood, or that, just sort of how impactful that can be when we're not understood, that sounds like it was such a pivotal moment where you were understood.
Yeah.
Were you able to appreciate in the moment that your dad understood you because it was such a crazy time with the company?
Yeah. Yeah, it was. That was a really nice moment, and just a half year after that, he actually got a stroke. Mm. So that's when we kind of really got to know each other in a way, and I felt that I could be there for him as he has been there for me. The times that I really, really needed it, never before.
He waited for those big impactful moments, didn't he?
Oh yeah.
He was like a movie producer. He wanted the big car crash, and then he was there.
Yeah. And that's something that I really hated when I was younger, because I was like, why isn't he never there? But now when I'm older, I really appreciate it, because it has made me really strong and independent and resourceful, because it's like I'm not going to get that help from my father unless I really, really need it. Yeah. So, but of course, you need to strike that balance, I think.
Let's do this for the audience, because I think I would be doing, it would be an injustice if I didn't even give you even 30 seconds, however long you want, but we don't have to go into that. But if Easee was a play, right, like a 3-act play, just what went wrong? I know what I've seen, right? I've read. How do you want to describe it, just so that you have it sort of noted?
Well, I think just growing as fast as we did, so from 0 to over 500 employees, and 0 to 200 million euros in revenue in 5 years.
And Easee was charging stations at home,
yeah,
which was a really big, like, that was a huge obstacle in the energy space.
Yeah, and we saw that wave coming, and we worked at a company, me and Kjetil, the co-founder, Stefan also is co-founder. We worked in Zaptec, which was where we developed the car charger for multi-dwelling units. And then we saw the need in the home market, and we tried to convince the owners at the time that we need to do this, we need to jump on it. But it was like, no, you can just charge in the regular Shuko socket. And then we saw, no, that's not scalable. It's not going to happen. The grid will suffer eventually. It will come to a point where the regulations will change, and you need a car charger for your EV at home. And it happened, and we hit the wave in a brilliant wave, and the timing could not have been better. So then it was just for us, we developed a product in 1 year, and we hit the market, and it was like, it was just the first year, 20,000 units.
Then the hockey stick, right?
Yeah. And then in COVID, we were like, we had made 1 million euro in 2019. And we kind of had the discussion, okay, should we invest those in marketing? Because my assumption was the others, our competitors, they will hit the brakes. What if we hit the gas? And then we did, and we grew, like we sold 67,000 units that year, and our cloud broke down, so it was 2 or 3 months with trying to survive.
So you more than tripled your production.
Yeah, it was crazy, and our cloud broke down in 2 and 3 months with survival, then as well. We managed to get over the bump. And 2021, it was 140 million euros in revenue, and 50 million euros in profit. And
incredible.
It was like unheard of. And I was like the people guy, right? So people first, money follows. And I was going to prove to people that you can build successful companies, robust companies, by putting people first, and making sure that people are seen and heard, that they feel safe, and so on. And for other people on the outside, it looked like we were a playground.
Because your notion was you wanted a company built on love, right?
Yeah.
That was your...
Yeah, love, vulnerability, honesty, humbleness, all that. So
you didn't know you'd be the poster child, as we say.
And then in 2022, this is kind of where it shifted, because we had grew to 250 people. We had a really good year, 2021. That's when I kind of felt I'm in control of everything, or at least some sort of control. But then in 2022, we grew from 250 to over 500 in 1 year. My father died that year. It was a really heavy year, and this is kind of when things spun out of control. And I was not good enough to kind of set boundaries, to hold people accountable. I was too nice, and that sounds nice, but it's not. It's not your job to be nice as the CEO. Maybe as a founder, if you hire a new CEO, and that the CEO can be the bad guy, but you need to, as the CEO, you need to be pretty clear with
You were still the steward of the ship.
Yeah.
You have to know if there's an iceberg out there.
Yeah. And I really, in my way, I really try to tell people that if we don't do something here, because I was seeing a trend, like, we are growing extremely fast, hiring a lot of people. The market is stagnating, so I could feel that. But then when you have people in the organization, you want to give them trust, but they were kind of seeing something else. So when I was kind of asking questions, I was interfering, I was kind of told, hey, butt out, because they were feeling like I was a control freak, that I just wanted to control everything, and I was going
that what the success had gotten to your head, as we might say?
Maybe, yeah. And that I was kind of the founder that is not able to let go of control. But for me, it was like, okay, I'm feeling something here, that now I think that at some point we will start to lose money, or how much money we are making will decline. And that happened. So when it suddenly showed in the numbers, people suddenly understood why I was kind of so upset and running around like a crazy person, because it was growing so fast, and it was becoming like a monster. And people were using the values and the culture as a weapon or a shield to get what they wanted. So for me, it was like, not everybody, but a lot of people, that it was like me first, and person first instead of people first. So not the team, but me. What can I get out of it? And of course, I had the responsibility. I see that I should have done things in a different way.
Is this where alcohol was a dark partner for you?
Yeah. It was actually for a long time.
It was.
Yeah, it was because I had a lot of anxiety. I kind of I love people and I love to be around people, but I'm kind of an introvert. I get my energy from being alone. So, and I probably wasn't as authentic as I am now. So it was also really difficult, time and energy consuming to be around people. And that's where the alcohol became a friend, because I felt that I could let go. I felt that when I took a couple of beers, maybe more than a couple as well, I felt more free, and I felt more myself. But of course you get into this dark spiral and you get more and more tired, and using the alcohol as a tool to regulate stress and so on, it's not good. It's not recommended. But okay, here I am, and I've learned a lot from it. So
and so the company starts. So you're starting to see what you were worried about, and is this when everything sort of, the domino effect in Sweden? Is this when paperwork, because what I had read in the press was that there was just some basic things that had been missed on a form.
Yeah.
And in Sweden, that was not just a simple mistake.
No.
Is that correct?
To be completely honest, and I will probably say something now that I haven't said before, but it's so the reaction of the Swedes, we can discuss that. If a sales freeze was reasonable, I think it wasn't. I think it was kind of crazy, to be honest. We had over 700,000 installed chargers. We didn't have one reported serious event.
Because they were saying that they could combust and cause a fire. Correct?
That's the fire thing is not true at all.
Yeah.
What they were kind of pointing out was how we had documented the ground fault detection, and now, 1 year later, we are harmonized with all European standards related to the product.
To grounding the power, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's kind of how you make sure that people are not electrocuted if there is a ground fault. And actually, this certification body has actually said that the way that we do it is safer than what the standard says. So for me, that I'm really obsessed about the truth. So for me, when the government is kind of claiming something and that our product is dangerous and so on and so on, of course I have to ask a lot of questions to my people, like Kjetil and so on, the co-founder, and then I understand that more and more that we are right, and they actually don't know what they're talking about. But what we had done wrong was that we had not documented it properly. So we had kind of, all the way back to 2018, we had not done the process correctly. We had not done it in the right way, because at first you should start off just what is the intention of the product, and then you find the standards and regulations, and then you put it on the CE declaration. We had done it in a different order. We had conversations with the certification body to make the product safe and so on, and to comply with the EV charging standard. But at some point we added 2 more standards into the CE declaration, and I got it on my desk, and I trust people, so I signed it, of course. But I see now that I should have asked more questions. But that's where it went wrong. We never have added those 2 standards, because then we didn't have the test to show for. So
had you not put those 2 standards, they wouldn't have been testing you against those standards.
Exactly.
So you caused your own power failure. Sorry for the right.
Exactly.
In some sense.
Exactly. And this is And we know that there's a lot of other companies that suddenly did some more checking on their documentation as well after we kind of.
Are you saying they amended a lot of their paperwork?
I think so, yeah, or I know so. So it's like there is a lot of other competitors that had the same things in their products, but they were very silent at the time.
So was there? I'm gonna say something that, not to offend you. I'm just so curious because you have co-founders. You had obviously a team. You were at one point up to 500 people, right?
Yeah.
Is it a slap in the face that even when you realize, wait a minute, guys, we didn't do anything wrong. We're safer than even the standard.
Yeah.
Sure, we maybe caused our own issue here.
Yeah.
But you, because you had been so public, you were the easiest one to be the fall guy.
Yeah.
So how do you deal with that?
I can't blame anyone else. It's like I was the perfect scapegoat because for me it was like, okay, I was not perfect. I've been struggling so hard to be perfect and to try to have control over everything. And these are the things that have worn me out. And suddenly when somebody saw that, hey, look, he is not perfect, Easee is not perfect, they have done something wrong. That's kind of, for me, it's like, okay, I felt deep shame, and I felt that
because you were Easee. You talked earlier. Yeah. You had transformed really from not just being you, sort of in human form, but you were the company, right?
Yeah. So exactly, and I just felt that I'm bad. I have done a mistake. I don't deserve this success. I deserve all this pain, and it's taken me a long time to forgive myself. It's been really hard actually because I've been feeling like the most shitty person in the world. Like, how could I fuck up this badly? How all the mistakes that I've done? How could I do that? I'm stupid. I'm worthless, and it's actually taken me a long time to kind of rebuild myself after that.
Is there a silver lining that you found out who your true friends were, people that were really sort of in your boat, no matter if you were on a billionaire list or not?
Yeah. Though I can say it's like, there was a guy that said that now that you have been shaking the tree and you see what's left, and there is a few people left, and that's for me also a really important lesson, that you can have a lot of fans and people that like you and friends when things are going well, but then suddenly when things shit hits the fan, then you see who your true friends are.
It's very seasonal.
Yeah,
it changes with the seasons.
Well said.
So give me what you can, sort of a glimpse into what's next for you.
Yeah. So now we didn't see this actually just a few months back, but we are actually wanting to build a new energy system. So the world is transitioning more and more from AC to DC. And there was a war 100 years ago. And I think it was Tesla and Edison. And AC won. But now DC is coming more and more. Most stuff in our house is DC. So what we want to do is kind of connect batteries, solar panels, the EV, and the home together in a more scalable way, flexible way than it's being done today. So this is really exciting, and we will start off with batteries. So we will try to make all battery modules in the world smart, and we will try to make it easier for people to save money, to be independent and self-sufficient, and also that people can be, and homes, buildings can become a part of stabilizing the grid. Because when we are getting more and more green electricity and sustainable energy, the variation and volatility is increasing. So the grid is made for peak loads, but we can solve this in a much smarter way, and we can utilize the capacity in the grid in a much smarter way.
You can spread out the, so you talked about it, it's built for peak, right? So these peak moments of usage, and then it kind of settles back down. And you're saying there's a way to stabilize that over time?
Yeah, and batteries are kind of a gift for the grid. So this is where we want to kind of, everybody, or most people have heard about the Tesla Powerwall. So basically we will make all battery modules and battery module producers in the world able to compete with the Tesla Powerwall. And that all utilities in the world, all the electricians can kind of easier install solar panels, batteries, EV chargers, and so on and so on.
And what's been the response? And where are you sort of in this build?
Yeah, so now actually we were not planning to raise funds until March, April, because we know that it's early and we know that we only have a PowerPoint. But actually,
the classic PowerPoint.
But actually, we have 2 investors now.
You do?
Yeah, and we've actually had to turn down a couple of investors. So for us, it's been like I never thought this would happen actually, and now we are closing the rounds in a couple of weeks, and then we will just hit full throttle. But we won't go as fast as we did in Easee. We will have a little bit more stable pace, but it's really cool. And I have the greatest co-founders with me, Ola and Nick, and they're really a really great team. And this foundation that we're now building, we have some principles of course, and some values, and we are having a lot of fun.
How are you going to ensure that you're good to yourself through this process?
Ooh, that's a good question. I'm trying to check in more often, so several times per day, as often as I can. Just how am I doing? And now I've just recently put a new, my old watch back on my wrist that measures stress and my heart rate and so on. I actually took it off some years ago because it was constantly showing too much stress.
It was in the peak mode.
Yeah. So that's why I took it off, because it was stressing me that I saw.
You didn't need to be told what you already felt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. So now it's like, okay, I really want to see, not just talk about it, but actually practice it, that we can have good lives while building the company. And that, of course, I shouldn't say 24/7, but it's not far from it, right? It's like you're waking up at the middle of the night, you have some ideas, you cannot just stop that. You need to just get it out there and either write it down or just...
Well, and isn't that part of you tell me, what may be the most, like at a visceral, physical level, like the most exciting thing about being an entrepreneur? Is it that flow state? Is it that feeling where an idea just sort of comes into you during your sleep and you have to wake up and write it down? Like those moments that people don't see, is that the most exciting?
Exactly. That's, and it's so fun to kind of, when you have suddenly cracked the code, when you have found a solution to a problem. It's like, I sent to 2 of the investors on Friday just the new story that I partly like the parts of what I told you just recently, and just to test it. And then, because it's not easy to get people to understand, why do we need a new energy system? Why AC to DC? What is so unique with this thing? But when you manage to tell the story in the right way, that's kind of when you get people with you, and I love that. That's also how we're going to sell the product, how we can get customers to kind of love the idea of having this product installed in their homes or in their buildings. That's and those kind of things, to figure those things out. There is a lot of pain in all of that, because you need to, because we have had a lot of investor meetings, and when you don't have a lot of concept drawings and things to show for, you need to put a lot of words into it, and they need to trust you. What you're saying is, okay, this is...
You need a good story.
You need a good story. And And here in Norway, you know, people have seen the Easee journey. It's a little bit easier here, but still, people still need to understand it. What are they putting money into? So, but having those meetings, getting the feedback, getting the questions, suddenly when out of the blue, you just suddenly it clicks, and it's like, yes, this is how we need to tell the story, and that's when you get momentum. And I love momentum. That's the coolest thing in the world.
So let's put a wrapper on this conversation, Jonas. So you and I we're sort of going around Europe, or maybe we go to the U.S. and share your story, right, to young entrepreneurs. I know it's cliche, but if there's one thing, you're a father. Maybe it's not even an entrepreneur, right? As your kids grow up, is there going to be one piece of advice that you have as a father, maybe that's even a better way to put it, that they could port over to whatever they decide to do, be an entrepreneur, be an artist, whatever it is, that you think would have been sage advice for you at the outset of your journey?
It's okay. So I'm struggling with one thing, but it's like knowing who you are and trusting yourself and letting the curiosity drive you and never giving up. So never letting anybody else tell you what you can or cannot do. Just really listening to that voice inside that is telling you who you are and what you should do. Because there is so much noise in the world today. And there are so many people close to you or not close to you that wants to give you advice of what you should do and should not do. But you should always listen to yourself. And I promise you, like, just spending a couple of minutes or hours with yourself alone and just trying to listen to that inner voice, it will get you further than you could ever dream of.
Well, this is an especially sort of sweet opportunity to sit here with you in Oslo to talk about your story. And nothing against my digital friends over at Zoom, but just to be on this side of it. And I think I almost guarantee that the audience really appreciates your willingness to take them into the dark corners that that are not flashy, right? They're not sexy, but that's reality. That's human. That's being a human.
Yeah.
And I think as we've really sort of launched into this entrepreneurial period where your kids, my kids, are all going to be thinking about how many companies they're going to be starting. They're going to need sage advice from experts like yourself. Thank you, Jonas.
Thanks for taking the plunge into Headroom, where we uncover the why behind the what and who impacting our lives. Headroom is a production of Rainlight and co-produced by our friends at Old Soul. I'm your host, Dr. Rod Berger, and this is Headroom.